O'Donovan from pole position went to cover him off, and then the pair came together. After the first round, British Rallycross was set to return at Knock Hill in September. Just 1 week before the racing, the event was postponed. The Scottish Government were due to make an announcement that week that would have seen tougher restrictions. BRX organisers wanted to give competitors advance notice and postpone the event before that announcement was made. It was actually quite unfortunate that the event could have still taken place, though they wouldn't have known it at the time. The BTRDA held their Scottish round a month later under similar restrictions. The Welsh round was looking in doubt throughout the season. The Welsh Government had put very strict rules on how many people could gather at an event. Only 30 people were allowed at any event, no matter the size of the venue. Which, let's be honest, if you've got an indoor sports arena and you have a bloody race circuit, I think you can allow more people to attend a race circuit, which is outside and over a very large area. Obviously, it's meant for the safety of everyone involved, but it's killed motorsport in Wales for 2020 and into 2021 as well. Ireland's round was also cancelled. Only 3 Irish competitors had been able to take part of the opening round, and it was looking like a similar number of English entrants would be able to make the trip across to Ireland. A new calendar was hastily announced with a double-header in November and the season finale just before Christmas. Both of these events would run at Lydden Hill and would be run under floodlights, with British Rallycross returning to night racing for the first time since 2011. Just a week before the November event, everyone was getting ready, and then another lockdown was called. It meant the event had to be cancelled, as only elite sports were allowed to take part. In yet another twist to the tale, in the 7 days between that lockdown being announced and the round 2 supposed to have happened, the championship was given elite sport status, meaning that the event could have taken place. However, it had already been cancelled and pushed back to the beginning of December. So once again we were waiting for the next round to take place. In the meantime, the BTRDA had actually held their entire season across 3 events. So roll around to December and the racing did actually take place. World Rallycross competitors Team JC were heading the entry list, with Liam Doran and Andreas Backford set to share one car, with Enzo driving the other throughout the weekend. You also had Oliver Bennett back in his BMW Mini, as well as most of the competitors from the first round. It was set to be the biggest supercar field in British Rallycross for a while, until a couple more cars had to pull out. Jack Thorne, who hasn't had much luck in British Rallycross before this point, suffered a clutch failure just as he was loading his car onto the trailer and had to pull out before the weekend. Mark Flaherty was set to rejoin the series. However, a cancelled flight meant that he wouldn't actually get there until the Monday after the racing had finished, so he was out of the weekend as well. Isle of Man TT legend John McGuinness made his supercar debut. In Q1 he took to the Joker lap immediately after a pretty good start. Coming out of the Joker lap though, his car half span to the infield and hit one of the apex barriers, rolling the car. It looked like the car might have been totaled, but the team actually managed to fix it for Q3. The half spin had been put down to a broken front drive shaft. In the rest of the field, it was Liam Doran who set the pace. His teammate Enzo won Q2. However, he failed to Joker in Q1, which dropped him down the order. Mark Donnelly was put on the back foot by failing to start one of the qualifying sessions, and it meant that O'Donovan and Godfrey could try and close the points gap to him. The semi-finals weren't much to show about, apart from a sneaky little battle between Godfrey and O'Donovan on the final lap. Godfrey had managed to close on O'Donovan through the rest of the race, and coming onto the final lap got a better run out of Chessons round the outside, and O'Donovan didn't give him any room. The pair touched, but managed to keep on the tarmac. This time, at least. So, the first night race in British Rallycross since 2011 was just taking place. Oliver Bennett from third made the best start of the weekend and took the lead, managing to hold it around the outside and held off the Team JC pair. At the start of the second lap, he suffered a gear failure, which put him into a half spin and dropped him down the order. Worse was to come when he forgot to joker and meant he dropped to last place in the standings. Out front it was Liam Doran. He'd taken maximum points, but he wasn't scoring points. So it was actually Donnelly who'd come through to score third place in the race and score maximum championship points yet again. O'Donovan had struggled with poor visibility with all the brake lights, and Julian Godfrey stopped on circuit with some smoke pouring from the back of his car. It wasn't actually the smoke that caused him to stop, with that actually coming from a small brake light wire fire. The reason he'd stopped was because of a cam sensor coming off and the engine losing its timing. The Q1 session for the following round was supposed to take place that night, but the schedule was too tight and they had to push it back to the following morning, which actually helped Godfrey as he wasn't able to locate the issue until 8 o'clock that night. Round 3. A few drivers were supposed to change seats. Andreas Backerud was still stuck in Norway, which left Liam Doran to retake his seat that he had won in the previous night. John McGuinness gave up his seat to Hal Ridge, journalist, racer and all-round rallycross expert who knows more than pretty much anyone about rallycross. I've actually got a clip from my first interview with him.
Well, this is audio, or you're going to transcribe it?
And then I'm going to...
You're not going to publish it as audio, you're just going to transcribe it. Okay.
Oh, sorry Hal, I said I wouldn't use it. In his first ever Supercar start, in a rather second-hand looking Ford Focus, he jumped the start. It was always going to happen. That wasn't the only drama that happened in the race. On the second lap, O'Donovan ran a bit wide, and as he rejoined the circuit, Julian Godfrey spun in avoidance. Stuck in the middle of the track at turn 1, the race was red flagged, which actually cancelled out Ridge's penalty. Godfrey was allowed to make the restart, as he hadn't actually caused the spin. This didn't actually help him much because he suffered a front drive shaft failure, which put him into a couple of spins as he was pushing a bit too hard not to get lapped. In the other qualifying race, Eade and Hill came together. Eade probably the cause of it, though might have been a racing incident. It certainly wasn't something that Hill needed to deal with though, as he'd already been suffering with a lot of issues and that certainly didn't help his cause. Godfrey started at the back of his race in Q2 and actually made the best start on the grid. O'Donovan from pole position went to cover him off and then the pair came together. Julian Godfrey got spat out one way, taking Hal Ridge with him. O'Donovan got spat out the other, with both cars damaged and out of the race. Though they made contact again on the exit of the corner, with O'Donovan turning out and hitting him. O'Donovan said that he was just trying to avoid the cars coming out of the Joker lap. And he did successfully avoid those cars, but he also hit another car, so he didn't do that great in avoidance. Godfrey was actually given a reprimand for the first crash, but no one was given a penalty for the second. I think the stewards just wanted to stay out of that one. Through the carnage of that opening lap incident, it was Mike Seller who took the lead. After a decade out of the sport, he'd made his Rallycross return in 2020, after doing some GT racing previously. O'Donovan's team has managed to fix his car for the semi-finals, even if he had said that he was out for the weekend. Doran and Eade won their semi-finals once again. Ridge in his semi-final was overcoming issues coming out of the hairpin, with Hill able to get past, but on the final lap, Ridge sent it round the outside and made a great pass to take back the last spot in the final. It was the final race of 2020 and the cars were ready to go. Doran made the best start and took the lead from Eade, with Bennett close behind. Still on the grid though were Ovenden and Godfrey. Both of them had suffered issues, with Godfrey able to get off the line after stalling. Ovenden was also able to get going, but circled around 30 seconds off the pace. Donnelly and O'Donovan were fighting for the first place amongst the British Rallycross competitors. Mark Donnelly went for a move down the inside into the Devil's Elbow, but the pair made contact. O'Donovan got to keep his position, but Donnelly retired in the gravel trap with broken steering. Godfrey was closing at a rapid rate of knots on Ridge, but going into the final lap wasn't able to make a pass, with Ridge actually getting a podium in the British Rallycross competitors. Out front, it was Doran who took another win, followed by Eade and Bennett scoring the first ever podium in his BMW Mini. After everyone settled down, it was actually found out that Bennett was actually scoring championship points. Who knew? Certainly not him. It was quite a surprise, and it was only because he was registered in the championship when he thought he wasn't. It was a bit confusing. Nobody really knew what was going on. It was quite remarkable because he actually didn't affect the top 4 in the championship at all. He had taken exactly 2 points off of Donnelly, Godfrey, O'Donovan and Ovenden. It meant that Donnelly was leading the championship by 2 points over O'Donovan coming out of the weekend. And that's how the championship stayed. The final round was cancelled in late December, giving Donnelly his first ever British Rallycross championship. He had only competed in 2 Rallycross meetings before, and one of those was in a Suzuki Swift. And yet he'd won 2 rounds and taken the championship. Just. British Rallycross returns in 2021. The 7-round calendar was announced with a trip to Belgium at the end of the year. O'Donovan is set to bring a new car, a Proton Iris, that has never seen Rallycross action before. Many of the regulars in the paddock will be returning once again, with a couple of new faces thrown in there as well. All of the photos in this video are available at callum.house. If you're looking for any pictures from British Rallycross, check it out. I'm also available for hire throughout the 2021 season at all BRX events. More videos will be coming out soon. If you have any story suggestions or any stories you want to tell, let me know. Cheers.